covered-up image of a nude artefact has been withdrawn from an Indian school textbook after it sparked a massive backlash from historians and educationists. The bronze sculpture, known as the Dancing Girl from Mohenjo-Daro, shows a girl standing with one hand on her hip and is one of the most recognisable artefacts from the Indus Valley civilization.
US President Donald Trump has said a memorandum of understanding with Iran has been all signed electronically, and the Strait of Hormuz will be completely open by Friday. US officials told the Reuters and AFP news agencies that the agreement was signed by Trump, US Vice President J.D. Vance, and main Iranian negotiator and Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. Pakistan International Airlines, PA, has implemented a new policy imposing stringent restrictions on smoking and the possession of tobacco products by cabin crew members. Under the directive, flight attendants are no longer allowed to carry cigarettes, cigars, or any other tobacco products in their personal luggage.
A major convenience has been introduced for citizens seeking driving licences in Lahore. Residents can now obtain medical fitness certificates free of charge from government hospitals, a document required for certain categories of driving licences. According to the Chief Traffic Officer, CTO of Lahore, free medical fitness certificate centres have been established in 13 government hospitals across the city during the initial phase.
Tecno has introduced the latest member of its Spark 50 series, the Spark 50 Pro. The new smartphone stands out with IP68 and IP69 ingress protection ratings and a distinctive rear design. The back of the device features a camera plate inspired by the iPhone 17 Pro series, although it houses only a single camera sensor. PTI founder Imran Khan's sister, Alima Khan, said on Tuesday that the government's version of events was unacceptable after the former premier was taken to the hospital for the 5th time for the treatment, his Alima said. We have received reports that Imran Khan was again taken to Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences, PIMS, in the early hours of the 15th of June. We found out through a tweet by Barrister Gohar on the morning of June 15.
In the crystalline waters off Kenya's coast, coral reefs are thriving, evidence of a rare good news story in the battle to protect oceans from the ravages of climate change. A new study presented at the Our Ocean conference in Mombasa on Tuesday finds that 166,000 square kilometres of the world's coral reefs, around a third of the total, are particularly climate resilient, meaning they have the potential to survive through major ocean warming events.
Like Pakistani aunties everywhere, Taylor Swift's fans seem to have one burning question about their favourite singer. When is she getting married? On Monday, they got closer than ever to the answer they were waiting for when New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani appeared to confirm the wedding dates during a press conference.
Los Angeles. I'm sure when we score a goal today, everyone will be cheering. That was the prediction of Iranian fan Parsa Tafreshi, who had travelled from New York to Los Angeles to see Iran take on New Zealand on Monday.
In 2017, Respond.io set out to solve a simple problem. Businesses couldn't keep up with customers who had moved to messaging apps. Today, Respond, with its customer conversation management software, become one of the tech success stories of Malaysia. The startup, headquartered in Kuala Lumpur, has raised a $62.5 million Series B round led by Canva Partners, with participation from Endeavour Catalyst and existing investors. It last raised a $7 million Series A in 2022. The company has grown to $35 million in annual recurring revenue, growing 169% year over year at a 30% profit margin, it tells TechCrunch. Fly Jinnah has sought regulatory approval to launch direct flights between Islamabad and Moscow, marking a potential expansion of air connectivity between Pakistan and Russia. According to reports, the airline plans to commence operations on the Islamabad-Moscow route from July 27, subject to the necessary approvals from aviation authorities. The proposed service is expected to provide travellers with a new direct travel option between the two capitals and further strengthen air links between the two countries.
World-renowned South African jazz pianist and composer Abdullah Ibrahim died on Monday at the age of 91 in Germany. His family announced in a statement the pianist, who recorded more than 70 albums, passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family in Germany after a short illness, the family said.
Finance Minister Mohammed Aurangzeb said on Tuesday that the government's economic planning and fiscal assumptions had remained mindful of possible external and geopolitical risks, including potential second-order impacts arising from prolonged regional uncertainty. The minister made these remarks during a meeting with UK Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for the Middle East, North Africa, Afghanistan and Pakistan MENAPI Hamish Falconer MP held at the Finance Division in Islamabad.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Tuesday said that the federal government would bear the expenses for a 100-megawatt solar power project in Gilgit-Baltistan, GB. The remarks came as the Premier chaired a meeting in Islamabad reviewing the project, according to a statement issued by the Prime Minister's office, PMO.
8 people, including 2 Boeing employees, have been killed after a US Air Force B-52 bomber crashed immediately after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California. The incident occurred at 11:20 local time, 1920 GMT on Monday, while the aircraft had been on a routine test mission. The crash sent a huge plume of black smoke into the air that could be seen for miles. The US ceasefire agreement with Iran has presented Israel's prime minister with a political nightmare, smashing the 3 cornerstones of Benjamin Netanyahu's political career and leaving him trapped in a new security dilemma. How can the man who styled himself as the political whisperer of Washington, with real influence over American politicians, be sidelined quite so comprehensively and insulted so publicly by his key US ally?
Researchers at Osaka Metropolitan University have developed a new artificial photosynthesis system that can generate solar fuel more consistently without relying on battery-based control systems. The technology could provide a simpler and potentially lower-cost approach to storing clean energy. A US Air Force B-52 Stratofortress bomber crashed on takeoff on Monday at Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California's Mojave Desert, bursting into flames and killing all 8 crew members aboard, Air Force officials said. The 8-engine, jet-powered aircraft, built to carry a wide array of nuclear and conventional bombs, was on a routine test mission when it crashed on the runway at Edwards just after leaving the ground, Air Force Colonel James Hayes said at a press conference hours later.
15-year-old cricket sensation Vaibhav Suryavanshi blew his fuse in an India A game in Sri Lanka and pushed up opposition player after a heated on-field exchange. The spotlight has been on Suryavanshi since his batting heroics in the recent Indian Premier League, IPL, won him a place in India's senior men's team for their T20 tour of Ireland and England.
Japan's central bank has increased its main interest rate to a new 31-year high after a surge in the Bank of Japan, BOJ, raised its so-called policy rate to 1% from 0.75%, its highest level since 1995.
The Australian Federal Police, AFP, are investigating claims that Israeli forces raped and tortured a group of activists who were detained after trying to deliver aid to Gaza by boat. The move was announced shortly after 4 female activists who were part of the global Sumud flotilla in May met with Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong and senior officials, including police, on Monday.
British forces have seized a Russian-linked oil tanker suspected of breaching sanctions while transiting the English Channel on Sunday, in what Prime Minister's significant setback for Moscow's efforts to fund its war in Ukraine. This successful operation delivers yet another blow to Russia and reminds those fueling Russian President Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. Starmer wrote in a post on X on Hyde. Starmer wrote in a post on X on Sunday.
New York. Kylian Mbappé heads into France's World Cup opener against Senegal on Tuesday, with questions swirling around him after a season that has left the country's biggest football star under immense pressure. The France captain drew a blank in warm-up games against Ivory Coast and Northern Ireland and ended the season at Real Madrid without a trophy, despite finishing as La Liga's top scorer.
Pakistan could improve economic projections for 2027 after the end of the Iran war, but it is still too early to revise the budget. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb told Reuters, hours after the US and Iran signed a deal to end the fighting, damaged energy infrastructure meant supply chains would take time to return to normal. After the conflict pushed inflation back into double digits, Aurangzeb said.
On May 9, 2026, Malay Mail published a two-part article by former Indian Commissioner for Indus Waters P.K. Saxena titled Indus Waters Treaty, Asymmetric Obligations, Unequal Concessions and Pakistan's Weaponization. The article tried to do more than criticize Pakistan. It sought to recast the Indus Waters Treaty as a historical injustice to India, to portray Pakistan's use of treaty procedures as obstruction, and to defend India's decision to hold the treaty in abeyance as a legitimate correction of an allegedly unequal bargain.
Lahore, Quetta, Punjab's tax-free budget for the financial year 2026-27 will be presented on Tuesday today during the 43rd session of the Punjab Assembly, which has been summoned by the governor. Meanwhile, the Balochistan governor has convened the Provincial Assembly's budget session for Wednesday tomorrow at 4 p.m. in Quetta. Iran twice battled back for a 2-2 draw with New Zealand on Monday in their frenetic opening match of a World Cup campaign that has been overshadowed by war, politics and protests. The Iranian team's very presence at the Los Angeles Stadium had long felt uncertain after months of military conflict between their nation and the United States. Karachi, the investigating officer, IO, of a case against alleged cocaine dealer Anmol Pinky on Monday filed an interim charge sheet stating that the accused had been involved in drug trafficking for the last 16 years and she used to supply narcotic substances in posh areas as well as among university and school students. The charge sheet was submitted before the judicial magistrate. South. The IO also sought time to submit the final report, stating that he was awaiting forensic reports and responses from the concerned departments regarding the suspect's travel history and assistance in the investigation. A daredevil adventurer known as the Spider-Man of Yemen has died after falling into a volcano crater while attempting to climb vertical rock faces without safety equipment. Authorities said Al-Kaka Ibn Antar, 30, was climbing the steep walls of the Hardar Dam volcanic crater in the southern province of Dal on Friday when he lost his grip and fell into the 120-metre, 393 feet crater, according to the Civil Defence Authority, which posted a short video capturing the moment of his fall.
Settle. Belgium and Egypt drew 1-1 in their World Cup opener on Monday after a second-half Belgian equaliser spoiled Mohamed Sassa's 34th birthday. Aimé Mashour opened the scoring early in the first half in Seattle, before Romelu Lukaku came off the bench after the hour to force Egypt's Mohamed Hani into an own goal.